I'm coming in hot.
God bless you, Jennifer, joining you today here on Rise Ministries. Hope that you all are doing well. It's been some trying times, but thank God things are getting better. During the process, though, didn't feel that great. Had to ask myself some challenging questions, and I'm kind of going to ask you guys those questions. I had to ask myself, are you really trusting in God, or are you trusting in your past disappointments? Are you expecting God to do what he said he's going to do to bring you through this, or are you expecting another letdown like other people have let you down in the past? So I was reading in the book of Daniel on Daniel and his three friends, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, who these boys were taken captive from their hometown, and they were brought somewhere else where everything was different. The food, the culture, the literature they were teaching them, and everything was different. I can only imagine what it's like to be taken captive, brought out of your place of comfort into somewhere where you don't know and you're being forced to do all these things. These boys decided not to defile themselves with the food that was being eaten there, and they decided to go on a fast. And in turn, God gave them knowledge and skill in all literature and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in visions and dreams. So when the king interviews the boys, or he sees them, he sees that they have so much more to offer than all the other young men that were there that were taken captive. He sees that they are 10 times, have more to offer than any magician or astrologer. Now the king starts having dreams. He doesn't know what to make of them, and Daniel is able to give the king the revelation of his dream because God allowed him to. So over time, they want the boys to worship their God, and the boys are refusing to. They're like, no, we're not going to worship that God. We refuse to worship anyone but the one true God. So the king basically tells them, you don't worship our God, we're going to burn you alive. And then he taunts them by asking them, who is this God that will deliver you from my hands? So the boys respond and they go, the God that we serve is able to deliver us. Then they say, but if not, let it be known that we do not serve any other God. The king was so upset. He was so angry, enraged. He said, turn up that furnace 7 times hotter than what it usually is. So they sent the boys to go be burnt alive, and the men that threw the boys in there to be burnt alive died because the heat was just so strong. While they are in there in the fire, I can't even begin to imagine what that's like. The king is like, hold on, I thought we sent 3 boys in there. I see a 4th man in there. What's going on? So the boys come out. They come out unharmed, and they don't even smell like the fire. And the king says, blessed be the God of these boys who sent his angel and delivered his servants who trusted in him. As I was reading this, there was just so many parts that stuck out to me, and I was just relating to so many different aspects of it, because I'm like, sometimes circumstances rob us of so many things and it tries to change us. And a lot of times we say, well, the hand that I was dealt in life was not a good hand. I kind of had to make the best of it, and I was changed because of, the way I grew up or things like that. And so many times when people need us, we're the best. We're simply the best. Oh, you're amazing, this and this and that. But then when we disagree with them, or we just don't give them what they want, all of a sudden we find ourselves abandoned, condemned, betrayed, belittled, mocked. A lot of times that happens in our childhood growing up. It happens in friendships. It happens in relationships. And sometimes we treat God as if he is the one who broke our trust. We treat God as if he is the one who betrayed us or condemned us, when in reality he's the one that has been faithful, and he's the one that has had a good track record. So do you trust God? Or are you only trusting in what you can see? Are you only trusting in what you can make sense of? So I just kind of wanted to get deep in there into the roots about trust issues, where they come from, signs of trust issues, and overcoming. And a lot of times trust issues come from your previous disappointments, your childhood, the way that you grew up, the hand you were dealt, abuse, trauma, social rejection, abandonment. And we're kind of saying, okay, well, everyone has had a hard childhood. Everyone in some way or form may have gone through like abuse or trauma, social rejection. How come some people are able to trust, some people are not? And that's kind of all based on the work that we allow God to do in us. So here's some signs to look for that can show you if you're not trusting God. If you're assuming or waiting for the worst, you're probably not trusting God. You aren't trusting God, actually. If you're just waiting and assuming that the worst thing is going to happen, that means that you're not trusting God to take care of you. If you need to control everything, you're not trusting God. You're basically, in a sense, saying that I don't trust God to have control over this situation. I think I can manage it better. Avoiding commitment with God, avoiding spending time with God, worshiping, praying, emotional distance. Those are all signs that you may have trust issues with God. But to overcome trust, I've had to do a few things, and they weren't easy, but definitely worth it. Definitely the moment that I started to do some of them, I just felt so much freedom, and just like if like chains were just broken and I was just able to go into a new level of trust and intimacy with God. And it came to the point where one day I was just crying, and I was just going through such a hard time, and I literally sat there crying, and I said, God, I'm so sorry because I don't trust you. I don't trust you because in my past, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did that, this happened, that happened. And I feel like I can't trust you, and I know that these things happened or that these people hurt me. Wasn't you that was doing it to me, but for some reason I've blamed you for it. So I had to ask God to heal my past. I had to ask God for forgiveness for not trusting him. I had to surrender control, which was very hard, because I'm the type of person that likes to plan out everything. I like to know how everything is going to go. I like to have plan A, B, C, and D. And I had to surrender that control and just be in a time where I'm just like, whatever happens, happens. It doesn't matter. Either way, I'm going to be all right. My kids are going to be all right. And we also have to ask God to heal our self-esteem and our identity, because a lot of times we don't trust God because we feel unworthy. We feel like, well, God will do it for someone else, but he won't do it for me. We make it seem as if God doesn't value us, as if God doesn't love us, and we forget that we are royal priesthood. We are sons and daughters of God. And I had to openly remind myself of the time that God came through for me. The times that he basically saved my life. The time that he delivered me from horrible situations like having a stalker. The times that he came through for me in court. The times that he just showed up in the moments where I felt like everything was just done. There was no going back from there. That was it. So to trust is to have a reliance on the integrity, strength, ability, and consistency of someone. So when the boys said God is able to deliver us, we see that they had faith. But when they say, if not, we still will not bow, we see that they trusted in him, because even if things did not go their way, they knew that God had a bigger plan, a bigger purpose, and there was a reason as to why. And when God sends help, while they were in the fire, I'm sure that the boys maybe did not see the fourth person. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But I'm just trying to picture being in a fire, having all of those emotions, being there with 3 other people, and just seeing the flames just raging up, and thinking, I'm not gonna know what to do. But they were trustful and had faith in God, and they were able to see that God was there with them, because even though they may have not have seen him, other people saw how God was there with them. Sometimes other people will see God because of your trust in him. And I just wanted to share a verse in Jeremiah 17:8-9. As I was reading this verse, it just like a breath of fresh air. It felt so good. It says, but blessed are those who trust in the Lord and have made the Lord their hope and confidence. They are like trees planted along a riverbank, with roots that reach deep into the water. Such trees are not bothered by the heat or worried by long months of drought. Their leaves stay green and they never stop producing fruit. And this verse was just so powerful to me as I was reading it, because it talks about trusting in God and making him my hope and confidence. And then it says we'll be like trees that are planted, and it talks about, our roots will be deep, and that even if it's heat or long months of drought, when we're not getting what we want to do, or the circumstances of life are just like right over us and we can feel the heat of the moment, right? It says that we will still stay green and we will still produce fruit. So I mentioned the names Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. And I thought it was interesting when I was looking up the meaning of their names, because Daniel means God is my judge. Hananiah means God is gracious. Mishael means who is like God, and Azariah means God is my help. And I found the definitions of their names interesting, because I was thinking, although the circumstances tried to change them and tried to change who they were and everything, their true identity, who they really was, who God was for them, hadn't changed. God was still their trust. He was still their consistency, still their ability, still their strength. So God never changes, even when everything around us does. So I want to challenge you today, if you're having trust issues with God, to just bring it before God and surrender it and ask Him to just come and heal those parts inside of you that are causing you not to trust God. And I know that it's easy, and you say, oh, it sounds so easy, right? To come and ask God and you think He's going to miraculously do it. But in reality, I'm not sure what the process will look like for you. But I know that the only way to trust someone is by trusting them. You don't know if you can trust someone if you never trust them. You have to give them that space in order for you to be able to trust them. So I want to challenge you today to trust God. God bless you.